Christy's ride to school is 3 minutes more than one half Brienne's travel time. Which graph shows the possible times of Christy's and Brienne's rides to school? So in this case, we need to match what they're telling us in the text to what they're giving us in the graphs. So they're linear graphs, so we need a slope and a y-intercept. So it says Christy's ride to school is 3 minutes more than one half of Brienne's travel time. So we know that since Christy's ride is 3 minutes more than one half of Brienne's travel time, that 3 minutes isn't going to change. So that means 3 is our y-intercept. B equals 3. One half Brienne's travel time would be written 1/2 x, because we don't know her travel time. So that would be our slope. So our m equals 1/2. So now that we know our slope and our y-intercept, we can just see which graphs matches up. So we look at which ones have a y-intercept of 3, and that's going to be A and C. So we can automatically cross off B and D because their y-intercept is not at 3. Then we see which one of these two graphs has a slope of 1/2. So we use rise over run, and if we look at A, we go up 1/2. So that is our answer because that is the right slope. Number 8. What is the largest of 3 consecutive positive integers if the sum of the smaller two integers is 11? So first thing to remember is what our formula is, or what do we use for consecutive integers. And in this case, we use n plus 1, and n plus 2, because that will give us the next consecutive integer. So now, the problem says, what is the largest? So we really want to know the largest, but we'll take care of that at the end. Of 3 consecutive positive integers if the sum of the smaller two is 11. So the smaller two are going to be n and n plus 1. And since it's sum, we're going to do n plus 1. And it says it is 11, so that means it equals 11. Then all we have to do is combine our like terms. So n plus n is 2n plus 1, which equals 11. And then we just solve for n. So we subtract 1 from both sides. We get 2n equals 10. We divide that by 2 to get the n all by itself. And we see that n equals 5. Now, it's not n would be our smallest one, so we want the largest. So we need to plug that back in for the largest integer. So we're going to plug 5 in up here, 5 plus 2, which is 7. So our final answer is 7. The larger leg of a right triangle is 4 inches longer than the smaller leg. The hypotenuse is 8 inches longer than the smaller leg. How many inches is the smaller leg? So we're going to look for the smaller leg. So I first recommend you draw a picture of a right triangle. Then let's go ahead and label it. So it says the larger leg of a right triangle is 4 inches longer than the smaller leg. So I'm going to pick one to be the smaller leg and label it X. And then we know that the larger leg of the right triangle is 4 inches longer than the smaller leg. So we're going to make that X plus 4. And then it says the hypotenuse is 8 inches longer than the smaller leg. And we know that the hypotenuse is the longest side. So we're going to make that X plus 8. So it's 8 inches longer. Now we want to know how many inches long is the smaller leg. The only way we know how to do this is to use the Pythagorean theorem. So we have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And we know that in a right triangle we have sides A, B, and C. A and B don't matter as long as the longest side is C. So we're going to go ahead and plug that into the formula. So we have x squared plus x plus 4 squared. And now when we do x plus 4 squared, we need to make sure we put it in parentheses. And that's going to equal our c squared, which is going to be x plus 8 squared. Now we need to simplify. So we can't do anything with the x squared, so we carry it down. This x plus 4 I'm going to bring over here, and we need to FOIL that. So we're going to take x plus 4 times x plus 4. Right? And most of you probably learned a method called FOIL or double distribute. So we take x times x, and we get x squared. X times 4, and we get plus 4x. And then on the inside, we do 4 times x, and we get another plus 4x. And then we do 4 times 4, and we get a positive 16. Combine your two like terms, so the 4x and the 4x, and we get x squared plus 4x plus 16. So we add that here, and we do x squared plus 4x plus 16 equals, and now we need to do it again with the x plus 8 squared, and it is a lot of work, I do realize that. So now we're going to, and I'm going to try to find a spot on here, but I'm not going to run out of room. So I'm going to do x plus 8 times x plus 8. So we get x times x is x squared, x times 8 is plus 8x, 8 times x is plus 8x, and 8 times 8 is 64. So we combine our two like terms, we get x squared plus 16x plus 64. And hopefully that'll leave me enough space down here. So I'm going to fill that in up here. X squared plus 16x plus 64. Alright, so now we need to continue to simplify because we need to find x so we can see how many inches this long is a smaller leg. So I'm going to combine my like terms on the left. So I'm going to combine x squared plus x squared, which is going to be 2x squared plus 4x plus 16, which equals x squared plus 16x plus 64. And we'll squeeze that 64 in there again. Now I continue to simplify, and so what I need to do is I need to subtract everything over to the left and set the one side equal to 0 so we can eventually factor. So I'm going to do it all together. I'm going to subtract x squared. Okay, and I'm going to use another color. And I'm going to subtract 16x. And we're going to group these things together that are with like terms. Minus 64. And then we're going to go ahead and do our math. So on the right hand side, all this is going to cancel out. Then when we do the math on the left, okay, we know that 2x squared minus x squared is going to be 1x squared, or just x squared. And then 4x minus 16x is going to be a minus 12x. And 16 minus 64 is going to be a minus 48, which all equals 0. So now, to solve for x, the only way we can do that is by factoring. And so we factor this, and we know we're going to get two sets of parentheses. It's still going to be set equal to 0. So this is a leading coefficient of 1. So what we can use is our big X method. And I'm going to grab this orange color because I have not used that yet. And I am also going to erase this here, since hopefully you already have it. If not, you can just rewind the video to find it, and then I have more room. So big X on top goes negative 48 because that's the last number, and negative 12 on the bottom. So we just need to know what times what gives me negative 48 and adds to negative 12. It appears we made a slight mistake, and I'll show you that mistake is down here where we combined our like terms. I added 4x plus 4x and added a 4x. So I caught this mistake because I realized I don't know anything that multiplies to negative 48 and adds to negative 12. So either I can't factor this, or I made a mistake. And I'm going to go with I made a mistake on this one. So we know that 4x plus 4x is actually 8x. Now, I'm sorry for those of you who've probably caught that while I was doing it, and we're like, wow, he's crazy and didn't even get it. So we have 8x there. Now we need to be careful because we need to go back and change this in the rest of our problems. So I know right here, and I'll do it in this orange color, it needs to change. So the only other spot it needs to change is the minus 12. Instead of minus 12, it becomes minus 8. Because 8 minus 16 is negative 8. So then we just need to change this minus 12 down here also to a minus 8. And then see what times what gives me 48 and adds to 8. So in doing so, I realize that 12 times 4 is 48. And it actually subtracts to negative 8. So we need it to be a negative 48 anyways. So we make one negative. In this case, we're going to make the 12 negative because it's bigger. So we get x minus 12 and x plus 4. Now we're still not done because we still need to solve for x. So we set both factors equal to 0. X minus 12 equals 0 and x plus 4 equals 0. We solve each of these for x. We add 12 to both sides for this one. And we get x equals 12. And we subtract 4 on this side over here. And we get x equals negative 4. So we see we cannot have negative inches. So x equals negative 4 can't be our answer. So the smaller side must be 12 inches. And we're done.